Thanks for stopping by the Look Dev department. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the layer system in Substance Painter using MatFX filters to get a painterly stylized look for your Substance Painter projects. So for part 2 of the layer system in Substance Painter, I wanted to show using paint layers set to pass through with MatFX to get a painterly look. So I'm going to create a paint layer, an empty paint layer here. And instead of having this set to normal, I am going to set this to pass through. What this is going to allow this empty paint layer to do is to combine with everything that exists below it. So I'm going to right click, add a filter, and then select from my filter list. I'm going to start with MatFX oil paint. All right, and very quickly it adds some nice painterly details. Some areas may be too strong. We can see here where it's kind of giving these paint stroke effects from the eye up onto the eyelid, which I don't want. So what I can do is I can just quickly mask that out. I'm going to add a white mask, add a paint, and then just very quickly remove that effect. Additionally, it's pretty strong right here in the chin. So I'm just gonna quickly tap that out of it. On the forehead as well, because it's kind of creating some seams. And that has to do with how the UVs are done. But overall, you can create very fast painterly effects. And then over the top of this, you can then create a new paint layer that has some hand-placed details. This can shortcut a lot of those hand-placed aspects that can take a really long time to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another paint layer and do the same exact thing. However, this time I'm going to add a different filter. So now I will scroll down on the list and I'll use MatFX watercolor. Now this creates a really nice soft effect. However, and I'll just go ahead and turn this on and off, we can see that it's really changed my roughness amount, which I don't want. I had already carefully adjusted that, but that's no problem. All I have to do is in my MatFX watercolor, I'm just going to disable the roughness channel here. There we go. So now we have this soft watercolor effect, which really just gives a very subtle effect. You can, of course, go in and adjust all of these different sliders to get the exact effect that you're looking for. Technically, you can actually have this MatFX a part of this layer. The reason I like to keep them separate is I can mask out differently depending on what the effect is doing. That's a personal preference. You can do it either way. All right, and now I'm going to do it one more time, create another paint layer, set that to pass through, add a filter, and this time I am going to use a MatFX comic. All right, this is going to drastically change the look, but don't worry, we can make adjustments to this to get it to combine with what's below it. So now instead of trying to get the change to happen from up here in the layer style of the paint, I'm actually going to change the layer style of the MatFX itself. So instead of replace, I'm going to go and set it to overlay. So now it's combining well. It's still very, very strong, but I can just go ahead and turn the opacity down here. All right, I think that's a nice effect. And then as a last step, I like to put everything into a folder for my stylized pass. So I'm just gonna shift select those layers, drag and drop that into the folder. Now it is going to appear broken. It's not really broken. You just need to set this folder to pass through as well. There we go. And now name this accordingly. All right, and the reason that I like to have this in a folder is if I need to update anything below it, it's gonna take longer for my project to process those changes because it will additionally be calculating all of these stylized layers. these do take a little bit more time to do. So I will just turn those off while I'm making any updates. And then once I'm ready to export or to check my textures before exporting, I just turn that back on. And that is it for adding a quick stylized painterly pass to your Substance Painter projects. Thanks for stopping by the Look Dev department. Let us know in the comments what you want to learn.